Hey everybody, Josh the RV Nerd here at Bish's RV in Coldwater, Michigan, here at my home store with the 290 BHS Apex. I've been waiting to get my hands on one of these. You are in for a treat today. This thing right here, it's very similar to like the Salem or Wildwood 26D Bud, if you're familiar with that floor plan, but they brought that up into an Azdel laminated lightweight trailer, and at just over 6,100 pounds, I think the name lightweight still applies here. A lot of lightweights ain't so lightweight anymore. So what are we getting on this thing? You've got a full super slide with like a true U-dinette and either like a hide-a-bed or a sleeper sofa, so you can really kind of customize this one how you choose. Speaking of that, you've got a cargo bunk feature on the back of this, so you can really pack heavy and still tow light while heading on to your destination. It's a dual entry door model that gives you an option to go straight into the bathroom, which cuts out a lot of dirty foot traffic through the camper, and with just a little bit of like a beer-tainment center outside, just a fridge and a cooker, you don't need to go in and outdoors all the time. What's also really cool about this one, usually lighter weight and something like that, it tends to mean like smaller in size than Camp Queen. That is not the case here. This is still a true queen bed. Now, this is not an over-the-top brand. Apex is what I call simple where they should be and fancy where they could be, but it's a really good example of a smarter class, lighter weight trailer, which are two things that don't normally go together. It seems like either you get a bare bones basic level camper or you get a fancy pants laminated thing, and there's a massive price gap between the two. Apex, they're sort of they're a sassafrasquatch. They're a missing link, baby.
So one of the things I like to do for you is I like to kind of put you in the driver's seat. And if you were sitting in the corner of the U-dinette by the slide side breeze window, this is kind of how things would look. And I'm giving you that entry door right there kind of as an easy frame of reference. Now, while we're looking up here, you don't have to choose which size air conditioner you get with these. You get the Furrion 14,500 BTU standard. And if memory serves correct, you can get this built with 50 amp service to throw a second one of those up in the bedroom, although 30 amp service is standard on here. Now, as I mentioned, if you're familiar with it, this floor plan is going to look extremely familiar to something like a Salem or Wildwood 26D Bud. It's effectively the same floor plan, and Apex said, I like that, I think I'll take that. That is what is known, my friends, as RV R&D, because RV R&D does not typically stand for research and develop. Rather, it typically means rip off and duplicate. Now, over here, you have a choice between a trifold sleeper sofa, which is what we're looking at to maximize the sleeping, or a theater seat. Which way would you go with this? My 2 cents, and I want you to answer, based off your own input. My 2 cents, I like the idea of the theater seat because this actually has a not too bad entertainment center right here since it's angled inward. And we will see in just a few minutes how that can pivot around. Now, a hide-a-bed is nice because a hide-a-bed you can always sit on during the day. And you can get extra sleeping when you need it. But my thought here is in a dedicated bunkhouse like this, you've already got more than enough sleeping for most users. So the theater seat's a nice way to be able to kick your feet up, although opinions on that may vary. Now, one of the other things here, again, giving you that point of view from the super slide, and I'll get you pivoted around in a minute. See those outlets under the overhead cabinets there? Those are easy to miss because otherwise you look at this, you're like, they didn't put any plugs in this kitchen, and certainly they didn't put a ton in it, but there are some at least. By the way, all of this cabinetry in here is pocket screwed, which in this category, again, about a 50-50 feature. You find there's a lot of RVs out there that do still have staple cabinet styles and rails, which to me isn't necessarily the end of the world. I've seen enough used RVs come in my career, thousands of them, you could say, that I don't see cabinets fall apart because of stapled fasteners, but I get on paper how it just doesn't sound. You're like, this is stapled together? Are you kidding me? I know it doesn't sound awesome, but they're not exactly like, RV structural items. They tend to hold up pretty much just fine. Notice though, the windows here, they all open for airflow. But I want to back up real quick. If I had my personal choice, I would still prefer the pocket screw cabinets that we're looking at. I'm not trying to talk you in one way or the other. This one has the pocket screws, so we don't really have to worry about it. Now, over here it says 220-pound bunk capacity. That is the same bunk rating that they put on their single bunks. I would actually be surprised if this wasn't a bit more, but I can only go off what's on the sticker there. Although I do like the household and USB plugs, I just kind of think that that shelf over there should sort of be a little bit closer to the plugs. That would make at least a little bit more sense to me. I love all those windows that open for airflow. To me, that is just such a good, smart choice. And they didn't just put one on the side or one on the back. Like, they doubled up, wherever they could on those things. Now, you might be noticing the ladder's sitting on the bunk. It's not hanging off the side here. There's actually a very good reason for that. When you close the slide up for road mode, if the ladder were affixed, it would break. A full true U-dinette is one of the things that adds a little bit of extra length to this RV, but it also it allows for some things that, you know, a two-bench dinette doesn't necessarily allow, like a longer, bigger sleeping space. Also, what's cool, they're giving us, just like Big Brother Freedom Express, the sliding pocket doors down there, you know, so you can get to that rear bench storage. Although it is a post-style table, you do need to kind of peel that out of the way. And of course, we have doors for our end storage over here, and looking at that in sleeper mode, putting the ladder on the bunks. And notice how the bunks have their own individual little curtains. That to me is a cool touch. Now, below that big pantry, there's just like a black circle in the wall. You might be going, what is that thing? That is a vent for the refrigerator in that outside mini camp beertainment center, as one of my viewers called it, and I loved it. And apparently I'm totally fixated on that today. And I do want to mention, you have a choice between the 12-volt compressor fridge that is shown here, as well as a gas-electric two-way fridge. So this RV does have a 100-watt solar package up on the roof to help keep that battery tended and topped off. That being said, being totally transparent and clear about this, the 100-watt solar panel on the roof is probably not enough to offset the full power draw of that 12-volt fridge right there. So if you're going to make like a little travel stop stay overnight, you know, the RV should be able to keep up just fine. But if you're going to, you know, spend 2-3 weeks off grid, you're going to need to come up with another solution. Now, while we're cruising over to that bathroom, something I want to point out to you is how every single air vent is both vented and louvered, which is fancy talk for the fact that these can all open and turn individually, so you can really pump that air wherever you want. And by the way, this is a aluminum framed laminated roof, so it's very solid. It is walkable. I will tell you this though, when you are walking, if you're walking where there is the air channel, it's obviously thinner right there because that is literally carved out of the laminated roof. So if you feel a little soft spot on your foot, don't freak out. There's probably nothing wrong with it. Keep in mind where you're walking in relation to the inside of the RV. You might be walking on the air vents, and you might want to not do that, you know. Now, short of doing the hacksaw Jim Duggan foot stomp, brother, you're probably not going to have any sort of real issues with that. Notice it has a window for light in the bathroom, but it's a frosty glass window. I'm okay with that. I like that because I get the light and I still maintain the privacy. The RV does have a vaulted laminated ceiling. It's a 6.5-foot sidewall though. So if somebody like me over 6 foot stands in the shower, my head is going to be in the bubble. But since it's a laminated roof, they can put that skylight exactly where you want it. Now there's a funny thing here I've noticed. This bathroom physically, like, I don't know how it appears on camera, but in person, it looks and it feels a little bit tight to me. But if you see me sitting around the toilet, that's really not the case. And I think it feels that way because they went with a hard glass enclosed sliding door for that bathroom as compared to just a curtain style shower door. It gives it a little bit nicer, ritzier, glitzier kind of feel to me. But it also makes the room look and feel small, but it doesn't function small. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. Again, I don't even know how that translates to camera. By the way, neat little side note on these Furrion fridges. They have removable faceplates, interchangeable faceplates, kind of like a gas-electric two-way fridge. Furrion's 12 volts are one of the only ones that do that. So if you want to swap that out, maybe you want a stainless look, maybe you want something else, you can do that here. Or I've actually seen people slot little chalkboards into their refrigerator fronts, which I think is kind of cool. Notice too, we've got that electric space heating Tootsie Toaster down here. That is going to take a lot of the nip out of the air without burning up your propane. And up front here, we can already see the household and USB outlets on both sides of the bed with some big wide open side stands. So that is a very handy feature. You don't feel claustrophobic in there. You know, you can put something big beside you like a tabletop fan. And that is a true queen. To me, that's a big deal. That is not a camp queen little mini guy or anything like that. And I forgot to flip on the light above the bed, just behind the windshield there. You can kind of see it peeking down at us. Now, I like how they do this. They angle their side wardrobe towers in a little bit, which it just sort of, again, it just draws your eyes in a touch here. I don't know. I like that. Now, remember, up top, by default, this is a 30 amp coach that is not set up for second air. You can get this built 50 amp though. Now, my store that I call home in Coldwater, Michigan, we're in the Midwest. We get some hot weather, but we don't get Texas, Arizona, Georgia weather. We don't get 9,000% humidity or anything like that. So one air around here does us just fine. Now, if you live in crazy hot country, anything like that, yeah, you're probably going to want that second air. And if you're, doing some business with one of our Bish's stores that's in those hotter locations, chances are they've already got it outfitted that way. And that's one of the things I just want to let you know. Each one of our stores equips their RVs a little bit differently to better cater to the local clientele of that area. Now, we sell coast to coast nationwide, and we can trade inventory from store to store, but locally, things tend to be built for the way that those people are going to camp. So just a little detail to keep in mind. You see that sliding door here from the queen bed, and of course, TV hookups on the wall, although it's not really set up for anything like big or giant or major. That being said, if you get a TV bracket that is, it sticks out a little bit, or a swing arm, you may be able to put a decent screen on there. Although typically those little wall prep points, a little pro tip for you from Uncle Josh here, they're in a bedroom like this, they're really not made for much more than, say, like a little 20-inch screen. So be real cool, be real careful about mounting something up there before you go too nuts with like a 40-inch double swing arm monster vision television, brother. Now with the slide closed, I gotta shoot you straight, you're gonna lose the bedroom. Now it's a rack and pinion slide, so if you want to crack that open, you could be able to potentially access the bedroom, without fully opening the slide, but pretty much you're gonna have to open the slide to get up front. Short of that though, like if you're making a travel stop, you can slip through here. You can get to all of the kitchen. And remember, you don't even necessarily need to slide through here like I just did, because you do have that bathroom access door coming straight into the RV back there. And as promised, I wanted to give you a look at the cargo bunk feature right here. Whether you could load up e-bikes in here, something like that. Certainly some totes, all kinds of kid stuff, maybe small kids bikes. And I'm wondering if you might be able to get one long thing, like maybe a single seat kayak in here, even though it does kind of angle jangle a little bit, technical term. Just to kind of complete the visual, looking at this from the cargo area perspective, like I said, if you angle it in there, I think you might be able to get that. Now, for trailing access, sometimes there is a benefit to the mismatched steps that we're seeing on this. There are going to be some times where you cannot fold open those front stable steps, but these rear steps down here, usually you can always pop those open. And again, having that direct entry bathroom door able to get you into the kitchen and the bunks in the cargo space, sometimes very handy. All right, so let's talk towing first and foremost. What are you gonna need to get this baby pulled around to your campsite, safely? That's what I wanna focus on. So 6,100, about 6,115 pounds dry weight. And I think the maximum GVW on this was around 75. I don't have a spec sheet in front of me because I got a camera in my hand, but if I recall, it was around that neighborhood. Little over 700 pound, I think, hitch weight. So, is it half-ton towable is going to be a major question for folks, or am I going to need something bigger? And I think that this can be towed by a properly equipped half-ton, but maybe not necessarily every single half-ton out there. So whenever you're talking half-ton towing, one of the major things that you really want to do is verify the specs of your individual vehicle so that we can make sure we're keeping your safety put before the sale here. Now, over here, you notice we're on the driver's side, but we've got the same full-size big baggage door over here. You've got sealed protected hinges on that, by the way, if you're in the freeze and thaw sectors of our beautiful nation here. It won't cause the hinges to get all sprung and go screech every time you open it, but it doesn't matter if it's left or right. This is easy to get into and through.
Now, you might have noticed how I said get into and through. That's because I've actually climbed through more than one baggage door in my time. Motion lighting here in the passenger is a nice touch. You see that all aluminum skeleton work that we have going on, and up top here is our charge controller. And if you look up on the roof of this thing, it's got a simple, I'm going to say, an advanced battery tending solar package on this. It's a 100-watt solar panel. At the time of this filming, they don't offer any sort of expanded factory solar on this, and that's about a 10-amp controller. So the controller's, really only sized to handle pretty much what's on the roof right now. You're not going to be able to do a lot of expanding without replacing certain pieces of hardware. But the fact is, while this RV is in storage, presuming it's outside and uncovered, it will keep that battery topped off and functioning. And in my experience, the vast majority of electric-based issues that folks experience with their RVs is actually due to a low battery. So even having a battery maintainer there is not bad. Now notice how much clearance there is between the awning arm and the main entry door right here. If you're opening the door on a rainy day, you don't tend to get spritzed in the face here. Now, the rear door by the bathroom, certainly, it's a little bit more of a spritz capacitor as opposed to a flux capacitor, but I don't think that's your main door. You're not going to be getting in and out of that near as much. Now, down here, you do have yourself some TV hookups in case you feel like keeping the entertainment going outside. And this is, again, that little, I don't know what you want to call it, beer-tainment center. You got a little pull-out 2-burner cooktop right here. And you got Dad's medicine cabinet for the bottled water and the barley pop right behind that. Now, obviously, when the cooktop is in use, you're not really going to be able to get to that fridge. But what if you just don't want the camp kitchen? Well, that's basically a drawer. You could take the fridge out, and then you just basically have a couple shelves. So it's there, if you want it, and it can be gone if you don't. And flipping the other way, this is a little bit more what it looks like when it is all closed up. And you might be wondering, what is that rectangle door next to that? Can anybody in the comments section, do you know what that is? I'll give you a couple seconds to offer a reply, like Dora the Explorer here. Basically, that is the access panel to the 12-volt compressor fridge. Normally, that is where the two-way fridge air vents would be located. Now, again, we've got that direct entry bathroom door. You see that little red switch on the handle? It's got a deadbolt, so you don't got to worry about anybody barging in on you. Although, if you are enjoying a nice little conversation with the neighbors, you can do what you got to do and leave it in screen door mode to help, just air everything out. Now, we kind of saw the back of this in cargo mode already, so I want to mention how this rear door on this, it has the exact same deadbolt as that bathroom door that we just saw. So you can make sure that, somebody isn't able to just open the door and snatch your kids or anything like that. You can keep everything safe. Notice the windows, though. When you're in this class and category at this price point, there are still some brands that don't necessarily always tint their windows, and every one of those windows opens for airflow. The bunk windows, the slide side windows, that right there to me is a really nice feature. Jumping up a little bit closer, this is another one of those things Coachmen does really well that a first-time RVer, I don't know that you realize these are things that you want to look for. Having all of the hookups condensed in one spot. Your outside utility shower, your power hookups, all that stuff all in one spot with the power above the water, which to me isn't a deal breaker, but it makes more sense. A lot of people freak out when they see water hookups above the electrical. Don't get me wrong, I don't necessarily want it that way, but that electrical hookup, it can sit outside when it's raining. It's made to kind of handle that. Now, I want to also point out, we are not at all on level ground right now. You see how badly unlevel all of this is? So you look at this, you're like, holy crap, there's absolutely no clearance for that sewer outlet. There actually is pretty decent clearance. It just, the RV is nose high right now, which means the tail is down low, and the ground is anything but level. But did you notice? This is a single sewer outlet. If I jump up in front of the slide and look under the skirt line there, you notice how there is not a second sewer outlet. That is something they really nailed and I think did extremely well on this product right here. Personally, it's subjective. I really like the exterior look of this. I love all the linear lines. It's not covered in the Nike Adidas swooshes. It looks, to me, really sharp. It's almost got that little Marvel Avengers A kind of thing going on. I also really like how they did a great job matching the baggage doors to the skirt color pattern right there. That is something that not every brand tends to nail very well. And as long as we're up front here, one last quick note. This is a walkable roof. You may have noticed it does not have a ladder. I just kind of want to offer that clarity. A lot of times when people see no ladder, they assume a non-walkable roof. That is actually very rarely the case in today's market, although that most definitely used to be true, frankly, not all that long ago. So if you appreciate the fair way that we go through these things and show you the good with the bad, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're new with us. And if you are a returning member of the RV Nerd Herd, first of all, thank you very much. Leave me a little comment down in the comment section to let me know you're back. I'd love to hear from you. And while you're doing that, let me know your favorite thing that you see on here and the one thing that you'd change given the opportunity. I always like to hear from you guys. So until next time, when you're ready, we're ready. I'll leave you a link in the video description to check for pricing and availability. And short of that, take care, stay safe, have fun, and happy camping, everyone.